Today, let's talk about the two worlds of social media. Yeah, two. There's the one we all live in, and then there's the one a massive part of humanity never even gets to see.
So let me ask you a quick question. Just grab your phone. How many social media apps do you have on there right now? Go ahead and count. If you're anything like me, you're probably juggling at least a handful. Well, it turns out the global average is nearly 7 different platforms every single month. That is a huge slice of our attention, right? Split between all these different feeds, different groups, a digital life that's constantly moving. Okay, now I want you to imagine a totally different reality. No apps, no profiles, zero digital network. That probably sounds completely alien to most of us. But for billions of people, this isn't some thought experiment. This is just their life.
So before we dive into that other world, let's just take a second to grasp the true scale of our connected planet. The world we pretty much all take for granted. The raw number is honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around. 5.41 billion people. That's not just a statistic. That means that nearly 7 out of every 10 human beings on this planet are part of this one massive interconnected digital society. And it's not like we're just dipping our toes in either. We are spread across almost 7 different platforms every month. It's this constant juggle of different feeds, different audiences, even different versions of ourselves.
So you might be wondering, where does the time for all this come from? Well, it comes out of our day. We're spending nearly 2.5 hours on these platforms every single day. Think about that. That adds up to more than a full 24-hour day of your life every month, just spent scrolling, liking, and posting.
But here's the really wild part, the speed of this whole takeover. I mean, sure, you had the early pioneers like 6 Degrees and Friendster laying the groundwork, but the real rocket fuel was lit in the mid-2000s, when Facebook opened its doors to everyone and Twitter launched. They didn't just create a few popular websites, they fundamentally rewired how the entire globe communicates in less than a decade.
So, when you see numbers this big and a change that happened this fast, it's really easy to just assume that being online is, well, just a normal part of life now, for everyone, everywhere. But that assumption, well, it hides a massive, deeply divided reality that most of us in the connected world just never, ever see. And this is what's called the Great Digital Divide. Because for all the billions of us who are connected, there's this huge shadow population, a whole world of people who are completely, totally offline. This is the world we don't see. And this is the number that just flips the whole story on its head. 3.7 billion. According to the International Telecommunication Union, that's how many people have absolutely zero access to that hyper-connected world we were just talking about. That's almost half of humanity. This gap actually has a name, and it's not just about who has a smartphone and who doesn't. No, this is a chasm. It separates people who have access to information, to education, to economic opportunities, and a global voice from those who are, for all practical purposes, shut out of the modern world. And that chasm, it turns out, is overwhelmingly geographic. In places like Europe and the Americas, being connected is basically the default. It's just the norm. But in Africa, the reality is completely flipped. And this gap isn't just a few percentage points. It's a stark portrait of 2 totally different worlds coexisting on the same planet. So why does this divide even exist in the first place? Well, a huge part of the answer starts with the most basic stuff: technological roadblocks. For billions of people, being offline isn't some lifestyle choice. It's just a simple lack of access. And these barriers, they create this vicious cycle. First, the physical infrastructure. The actual cables and cell towers might not even exist where you live. And if they do, the electricity you need to power everything might be totally unreliable. But even if you have both of those, the cost of a phone and a data plan can be just way too expensive. And if you somehow manage to overcome all of that, you still need the skills to actually navigate this whole new world. And the story gets even more complicated. The divide isn't just between continents, it's within them. Just look at Africa. You've got Morocco with connectivity rates that are pretty similar to Europe. But then in the same continent, you have Chad, where the internet is only accessible to this tiny fraction of the population. It's 2 completely different digital realities in the same place. But look, infrastructure and cost, that's only half the battle. There are other, more human walls that block access, the kinds that are built by society and by culture. A really powerful example of this is the gender gap.
In low and middle income countries, women are way less likely to use mobile internet than men. And this isn't a technology problem, right? It's a reflection of deeper social inequalities in things like education, financial independence, and personal freedom. And it's all playing out in the digital world.
And sometimes, even when the technology is physically there, another barrier pops up: trust. This quote really gets to the heart of it. If a digital platform feels foreign, or if it clashes with local traditions and values, people are going to reject it. It doesn't matter how cheap or how fast it is. Being relevant is just as important as having access.
So this, right here, this really puts the two realities side by side. For the connected world, our reasons for being online are about, convenience, entertainment, staying in touch. But for the offline world, that conversation hasn't even started. The questions are way more fundamental. Can I even afford it? Is there power today? Do I trust this thing? Is it even in a language I can understand?
So, knowing this divide exists is one thing, but the real challenge is figuring out how we bridge it and what it's actually going to mean to connect the next billion people to our digital world.
And the thing is, there's no silver bullet here. The solution isn't just one thing. It has to be everything, all at once. It's not enough to just build towers and make data affordable. It also requires this massive investment in digital education, designing platforms that are actually culturally relevant, and a real partnership between governments, big companies, and local communities. Which brings us to the last and maybe the most important question of all. The goal can't just be to get everyone a signal. As we in the connected world wrestle with things like misinformation, privacy, and division, we really have to ask ourselves, are we building a digital world that's actually worth joining? That's the real challenge for all of us.